Daehan just stands there, letting out a laugh so loud he probably thinks he's in a sitcom. He's clutching his stomach like the ancestor line was the funniest joke he's heard in 8 centuries. Ryugom just gives him the stone-cold stare before actually apologizing, saying it was just an unexpected answer. It's the ultimate backhanded move, acting polite while basically calling the guy a child. But then Daehan decides to get personal. He mentions he knows Ryugunom's younger brother a little, referring to Park Min-gek. The look on his face is pure trash talk energy, like he's holding all the cards. Ryujom's vibe shifts immediately, his eyes narrowing as he demands to know who the hell this guy really is. Daehan just smirks, asking if he's actually curious enough to find out the hard way. They aren't about to have a heart-to-heart in the middle of a parking lot. Ryujom suggests they continue this conversation elsewhere and he's not talking about a coffee shop. He tells Daehan he's dying of curiosity, but the way he says it sounds more like a death threat. They move to a deserted construction zone, the kind of place where you go when you're ready to let the fists do the talking. The atmosphere is heavy, and Daehan is the first one to break the silence. He's looking at Ryugom, genuinely wondering where this guy got such an OP level of power. Ryujom doesn't give him a single crumb of info, telling him he'll get his answers only if he manages to win. It's the classic final boss ultimatum, and Daehan is more than ready to accept the challenge. The fight kicks off and it's a total spectacle. Daehan isn't some mid-tier mob. He's actually reading Ryubitom's attacks. He's moving with a speed that's genuinely impressive, making Ryujin realize this guy might actually be on his level or even higher. It's the first time we've seen our MC actually have to put in some work instead of just one-shotting everyone in the room. Daehan decides it's time to stop warming up and calls out his big buff, the Silent Tiger Fist. He starts counting out the strikes like he's checking off a grocery list. First, second, third, the energy in the air is crackling with massive pressure. A giant tiger head manifests behind him, looking like it's ready to swallow the entire city block. It's noisy, flashy, and honestly a bit much for a move that's supposed to be silent. He launches the fourth strike, putting everything he's got into a punch that looks like it's going to delete Ryujom's existence. He's screaming that this is the end, looking like he's already celebrating the win. But then the target just vanishes. Ryugom isn't there. Daehan is staring at the empty space, totally blue-screened, wondering where his opponent went. Suddenly, Ryujom is standing right behind him, looking completely bored. He asks Daehan if he even knows what the word silent means. He starts roasting the move, telling him that Qigong isn't supposed to be a noisy circus act. For a brief moment, the entire area goes dead quiet. Ryujom isn't just talking trash. He's about to show this kid the difference between a copy and the original strength. He delivers his own version of the Silent Tiger Fist, and it is a total server wipe event. There's no flashy tiger, no screaming, just pure concentrated damage. The impact sends a shockwave through the ground that probably registered on a seismograph. Daehan is sent flying, his eyes rolling back as he realizes he just got nerfed by a guy who's forgotten more about martial arts than Daehan will ever learn. The next thing we see, the fight is over. Dula is safe and sound, though she's understandably confused about why she's being driven home in a luxury car by government suits. They've even sorted out her meal issues, acting like a top-tier concierge service. She's wondering what the hell even happened, having no idea her manager just dismantled a high-level security team and their leader. Ryugom actually takes the unconscious Daehan back to his own house. He's sitting there, waiting for the guy to wake up, looking like he's just chilling in his own living room. When Daehan finally snaps out of it, he's terrified, asking if he lost consciousness. Ryujom just tells him to rest easy because he's at home, and his brother isn't there to see him looking like a loser. Daehan is still looking for answers, but Ryugom has some questions of his own. While Daehan was catching some Z's, Ryugam did a little house searching. He pulls out these small gold vials he found in the kitchen. Daehan's face goes pale immediately. Ryugam calls them pills, even though they look more like high-tech medicine. This is the company's top secret, the stuff they're using to change the game. Ryujin explains the grim reality. These aren't supplements, they're artificial Qigong implants. They're basically a cheat code for power, but they come with a massive debuff. Ryujom warns him that if things go wrong, these things will lead to a slow and painful death. He's looking at Daehan with pure pity, realizing the guy has been risking his life just to spread someone else's twisted version of Qigong. He tells Daehan that if he wants to protect his younger brother, he needs to stay as far away from those company guys as possible. He's basically telling him to quit his job before his life subscription gets cancelled. But as they're talking, a sudden chill hits the room. Ryugom freezes, his eyes widening. He feels an intense energy nearby, something so heavy it's making his tongue dry up. We cut to the airport, where a massive crowd of NPCs is losing their minds. Yu Yan-woo, the silver-haired superstar snake, has just landed. He's walking through the terminal looking all dazzling and radiant, waving to the cameras like a saint. He meets up with Anya, who's still playing her role, and they exchange a few polite words about how well she's adapted to the era. But as soon as the cameras aren't looking, the vibe goes straight to hell. The gentle actor mask slips, and Yeonwoo's eyes turn predatory. Before Eunhye can even react, he grabs her by the throat, pinning her down with a grip that looks like it could crush steel. The disrespect is absolute. He leans in, his face inches from hers, and drops the most terrifying question possible. Why are you still alive? It's a total game changer, and you can practically feel the killing intent radiating off the screen. The silver-haired snake is standing there in the middle of the airport, looking like a total saint to the cameras, while he's literally trying to crush on Hao's windpipe. He looks her dead in the eye and asks how she's even breathing, and you can see her entire world just blue-screened. She knows she's in a trash-tier situation, but then things get weird. Yeonwoo doesn't just finish. He asked her to strip right there in the room, and Eunhye is absolutely blue-screened. She's staring at him like she's seen a ghost, wondering if this is how she finally goes out. She slowly takes off her jacket, revealing the decaying blackened flesh on her shoulder, and you can see the panic in her eyes. She's internally screaming because she knows her body has reached its absolute limit. She totally underestimated him, and now she's just barely holding on to her life subscription. The silver-haired snake, Okyeon, just stands there with his hand on his chin, looking at her like she's a science project. He's acting all mysterious, wondering how she can see through him so easily. He finally reaches out and grabs her by the face, and for a second it looks like he's about to finish the job. But then he drops a line about her suffering enough and touches her shoulder. Suddenly, this weird green energy starts flowing from his hand into her body. It's Okyeon's internal energy, and it's hitting her like a massive buff. He tells her he never planned on abandoning her, acting like he's some kind of saint instead of the monster who poisoned her in the first place. Eunhye is totally confused, but then a wave of intense, sudden pain hits her. It's like her system is trying to process a corrupted file. While she's reeling from the shock, Yeonwoo just slips away, acting like he's got a busy schedule. He tells her he's going to get some rest, leaving her standing there in a daze. We cut to the airport, where the NPCs are losing their minds because they can't find their favorite superstar. They're running around with cameras, totally oblivious to the fact that their hero just tried to choke out his subordinate in the back room. Switching gears, we see a guy smoking on a balcony, looking like he's carrying the weight of the entire world on his shoulders. It's Daehan, and he's clearly having second thoughts about his life choices. He's looking at the marks on his own skin, wondering if this organization is actually leading him to his death. He's realized they might have hidden some massive game-breaking details about his condition. He's asking himself if he should really trust the boss, and honestly, the answer is a big fat no. He heads back inside, trying to act normal, and meets up with his brother, Min-guk. He's trying to play the welcome back card, but you can tell the vibe is totally off. Min-guk is still rocking that student look, but he's staring at his brother like he's a pervert or something. Daehan is just relieved to see him, but then he drops the news that the company has started a crackdown. The use of those ampoules is temporarily suspended because the higher-ups are getting nervous. These things are supposed to be for organization members only, and the company is finally realizing they can't just hand out power-ups like candy. Daehan is looking at his brother, thinking he still looks fine, but he's not taking any chances. But here's where things get salty. Min-guk suddenly gets a massive nosebleed right in the middle of the conversation. Daehan goes into full panic mode, screaming about whether he feels sick and telling him not to hide anything. Min-guk just brushes it off, saying it's normal for students to get nosebleeds when they're stressed. He's acting like it's just a minor debuff from studying too hard. But we know better. In this world, a nosebleed is a red flag that your body is about to blue screen. We cut to a high-end restaurant where the real villains are having a feast. We're talking premium steak and red wine, the kind of meal you only get when you're exploiting the masses. The boss of CK Shields is sitting there, looking like a total shadow in the dark. His goons are calling him boss, with so much respect it's actually cringe. He's ready to take a look at the newly developed ampoule, and you just know it's going to be absolute trash for humanity. They've got a guy in a wheelchair strapped to enough medical equipment to power a small city. The lead scientist is bragging about how this new formula has achieved a way more potent result compared to the previous one. They're ready to begin the test, and the tension in the room is high enough to snap a steel cable. They're using highly skilled personnel who already integrated well with the old stuff, basically turning them into lab rats. The injection hits, and the guy in the wheelchair suddenly stands up like he's been hit with a massive energy buff. He's radiating power, and the guards around him are looking terrified. The boss is all smiles, realizing that with this, the value of CK shields is going to hit the moon. He's calling it a blessed body and acting like he's doing everyone a favor. But here's the kicker. They're selling this poison in the medical field under the name vitamin injection. Yeah, they're gaslighting the entire population, telling them it's just a health boost while it's actually a high-risk power-up. Everything is going smoothly for them except for one thing. The boss asks about that guy, referring to Ryujong. We see a flashback of the fight, the massive impact in the crater in the ground. The boss is realizing that Ryujong is a variable they didn't count for, and he's deciding to hold off on his next move for now. We cut to a flashback of the eye that saw too much. Back at school, things are returning to the usual trashy routine. Minguk is walking down the hall, and he's got a shadow. One of his classmates is following him, wondering if he really got it. But before they can have a heart-to-heart, the local bully, Jinil, decides to make an appearance. He's back to his old tricks, kicking a poor nerd named Moon Junho into the lockers. He's mocking the kid, asking if he really thought his life would change just because of some martial arts rumors. He's telling him that school life isn't suddenly going to become fun and that this misery is his reality. It's total bottom feeder behavior, and the rest of the class is just watching like NPCs. Jinil is about to land another hit when a girl, Siwon, steps in and tells him to stop already. Jinil is so salty he's actually ready to swing at her. He's asking what if he doesn't want to stop, looking like a total noob who doesn't realize he's about to get wrecked. But then, a shadow looms over him. Ryujong appears out of nowhere, looking like a total final boss. He doesn't even have to punch the guy. He just gives him a look that says, "Your life subscription is about to be cancelled." Jinil is shaking, sweating buckets, and he finally bails like a terrified mob. Ryujong just watches him go, looking completely bored. He turns to the girl, and she's acting all late and annoyed, but you can tell she's relieved. Ryujong starts thinking about how unusually dangerous things keep happening around this child. He's realized he won't be able to pay as much attention to her as he wants because of the Ampul situation. He starts having a flashback to his old colleagues, the people who used to stand by his side in the Goryeo era. He's feeling like a ghost in the modern world, missing his squad. But then, a light bulb goes off. He realizes there might be a solution to his problem. If he doesn't have any colleagues from the past, he can just make new ones in the present. He turns back to the nerd Moon Junho, who's still shaking on the floor. He looks the kid dead in the eyes and tells him he needs to beat up Jin-il himself. The kid is absolutely stunned, asking, "Him? What?" Ryujong doesn't flinch. He points a finger at the kid's chest and asks if he can do it. He tells him that if he's ready, he'll give him the strength to change his reality. He's decided that if he can't find his old friends, he's just going to build a brand new army starting right here in this classroom. Moon Junho is standing there, looking like he's about to fight a boss battle with 0 health potions. The students are gathered around, wondering if he's finally lost his last 2 brain cells. He's up against Kim Changwon first, and the vibes are already feeling like a total disaster. Ryujong is watching from the sidelines like a coach who's about to see his level 1 player get one-shotted. Dola is terrified, asking if this is really alright. Ryujong just looks at her with that stone-cold face and says the kid can do it, just like he promised. But here's the catch. Ryujong tells her that Junho's acupuncture points haven't even been pierced properly yet. It's like the kid is trying to play a high-level game with his controls, still locked behind a paywall. Changwon isn't waiting for a tutorial, though. He launches a fist right at Junho's face, and you can practically hear the oof from the crowd. Everyone is shocked that Junho actually has the guts to stand his ground, but having guts and having skill are 2 very different things in the school. And this is where things go sideways. Junho is getting his face redesigned by Changwon's fists. He's getting pummeled, and his internal monologue is a total mess. He's wondering why he's the only one getting hit if he's supposed to be OP now. He's asking himself why he can't attack, thinking he obtained some kind of secret power. The bullies are laughing, telling Changwon to go easy so the kid doesn't lose all his teeth. It's a total humiliation, and Junho is sitting on the floor looking like he's ready to Alt F4 out of life. Changwon is being a total trash tier mob, grabbing Junho by the collar and calling him a retard. He's threatening to give him a permanent implant with his fist. Junho is shaking, wondering if he's still just a scared little NPC. But then, Ryujong's voice cuts through the noise. He's dropping some deep philosophy on Dule, telling her that fear and courage actually come from the same source. He says they're both rooted in belief, and if you can break through that mental block, you can unlock the acupuncture point of courage. Yeah, they really should have bailed right here. Junho hears the insults, and something inside him finally snaps. He's tired of being the punching bag. He decides to stop being a coward and actually believe in the strength Ryugen promised him. He hits the courage buff and catches Changwon off guard. He launches one massive strike right to the guy's chin. It's a total server wipe moment. Changwon goes flying and hits the deck, completely out for the count. The crowd is absolutely blue-screened. They can't believe the school's favorite target just one-shotted a regular bully. Ryugubum is unimpressed though. He thinks to himself that it wasn't skill, just pure RNG luck that Junho managed to hit the chin. But Junho is feeling himself now. He's standing there, blood on his face, looking like he's ready for the next round. He calls out for the next one, and that's when the real trouble starts. Oh, Jin-il steps onto the field, and you can practically feel the boss music starting to swell. This guy is on a completely different level than the mid-tier lackeys. Before John Ho can even finish his sentence, Jin-il delivers a kick to his face that would have sent a normal person to the infirmary for a week. The impact is so loud it sounds like a gunshot. Jin-il is looking down at him with pure disrespect, calling his tenacity foolish. But here's where they messed up bad. Jin-il starts bringing up the past, mocking Jung-ho about things that happened in elementary school. He's calling him a retard again and again, delivering kicks that are turning Junho into a human ragdoll. Ryujom realizes the gap in power is way too wide. He steps in and grabs Jin-il's arm, telling them that's enough. He tells Junho that Jin-il isn't an opponent he can win against yet. He's trying to save the kid from getting his life subscription canceled. Junho is sitting on the floor, looking up at Ryujom with eyes full of betrayal. He's calling Ryujom a liar, thinking the whole acupuncture story was just a prank. He's salty because the hits hurt way too much for someone who is supposed to be buffed. But then, the realization hits him. He's standing there, shivering, but he notices something. He's not afraid anymore. Even after getting wrecked by the king, the fear that used to paralyze him is gone. He looks at Ryugum and asks for more time. He's not done yet. He raises his fists, getting into a proper fighting stance, and declares that this is his fight. Ryu Wo-shom sees the change in his eyes and realizes the kid actually believes in himself now. He gives him the green light, and the second round begins. Jin-il is just annoyed, thinking this is getting weird. He launches another attack, but this time, Junho is actually trying to read the moves. He's trying to figure out what to do next. Should he counter or evade? Jin-il just laughs, calling him an idiot. He throws a fake and then follows up with a massive hit that sends Junho's head spinning. The crowd thinks it's game over. They're saying he might have fainted while standing up because he looks totally out of it. Junho is staring at the ground, blood dripping from his nose, wondering what the hell is going on. But then, he notices his body feels light. Despite the damage, it feels tolerable. He realizes that Ryujom actually did give him some kind of power, but he has zero experience in how to use it. He's thinking to himself that once a retard, always a retard, because he has no idea how to fight. He's getting pummeled again, thinking about his lack of skill. But then, a light bulb goes off in his head. If he doesn't know real martial arts, he'll just do what every nerd does. He decides to imitate manhwas. Yeah, the kid is literally trying to use comic book moves in a real street fight. He tries a specific technique he saw, and it actually works. He lands a solid punch that catches Jin-il by surprise. The crowd is losing their minds, asking what just happened. Ryugum is watching, looking a bit surprised that his student is using such a trash-tier but effective strategy. Junho isn't stopping there. He remembers a move he's thought about 10,000 times in his heart. He realizes the only thing holding him back before was his lack of belief. He grabs Jin-il by the hair and the head, looking like a total monster. He delivers a massive throw, slamming the king onto the concrete floor with enough force to crack the tiles. Jin-il is sprawled out, eyes roll back, completely nerfed. The silence in the hallway is heavy. The students are staring at Junho, wondering if this is even the same person they've been bullying for years. Junho is breathing hard, looking down at his fallen enemy. He's realized that the conditions for him to win were always there. He just couldn't believe in himself. He throws his head back and screams that he won. A total flex on everyone who ever doubted him. He's decided that from now on, he's going to believe in himself more. And honestly, that's the ultimate glow-up.